Did you know that questioning is the second most commonly used instructional strategy in classrooms? It falls second only to teacher talk and explanation. We know from research that asking high-quality questions is an effective way to increase student engagement, deepen cognitive rigor, and motivate learners. So what makes a question high quality? Here are 3 characteristics and suggestions for how to use them in your classroom. The first key characteristic of a quality question is that it has an appropriate level of cognitive challenge that's matched to the learning objective. You're likely familiar with Bloom's taxonomy or Webb's depth of knowledge levels. Begin by determining the cognitive demand of your learning objectives. Then, consider the cognitive level of the questions you're asking. Do they match? All levels of questions are important, and scaffolding questions to support higher level learning is essential. But sometimes the objectives and the questions just don't match. If your objective asks students to operate at a high cognitive level, to evaluate or analyze, for example, and your questions remain in the understand and remember levels, you may want to adjust the questions to be sure students get to practice answering at those higher levels. Matching the level of your question to the demand of the objective will help your students achieve the learning goals. The second characteristic is also about matching questions to learning, this time to the stages of the learning process. We know from cognitive science that when our questions are tailored to the phase of learning our students are in, we can effectively move their learning forward. For example, early in a sequence of learning, you want to engage your students and spark their curiosity with intriguing or unexpected questions. Once they've committed to learning, ask students questions that help them learn and make sense of new information. Finally, when it's time for students to consolidate and apply their learning, ask questions that prompt them to think deeply about how to use what they've learned in a new context or the related learning they might investigate on their own. And the third characteristic is that quality questions can help develop a community of learners. You can do this by asking open-ended questions and letting your students know that there can be more than one answer. This reinforces to students that they can have ideas and perspectives that are different from other students and the teacher, and that we can learn from each other with good conversation and questions. Teach your students how to communicate using structures for purposeful talk and model for them how to ask quality questions. This will create a classroom culture that allows your students to support one another as learners.